So I had a bad eBay customer and it really pissed me off because I've had these customers before. Like, if you don't ship immediately, they freak out. And if you try to explain, they get really aggressive. And, like, they don't listen to what you're trying to tell them. And they want a refund, but, in my current position, I can't refund them. They're gonna have to wait a few days, or eBay is gonna have to force the refund, which, you know, eBay forcing the refund would cause even bigger problems for me. Because I'm, just a really busy computer technician working at a small business that's struggling. So it's a lot easier for me to just ship the computer out as planned. But, these people freak out because it hasn't been shipped, and even if you try to explain, the situation and say, I've done this extra stuff for you to make up for the time, and um, it's officially shipped now, and they keep getting aggressive, and they just say, "Oh, I want my money back. Just refund my money." And anytime someone says my money, I automatically know that they're a jerk because, like, unless I've been holding on to your money for a really long time, like, there's no reason for you to be a little grubby jerk like that. Like, it had only been maybe not even a week, and I don't even think it had been. Yeah, it hadn't even been a week, and it did finally get shipped. But I explained to the person, I'm extremely overwhelmed with stuff right now. That's why it's taking an unusually long time. I'm sorry for the delay. It will be shipped, and instead of this entire process, even if it did end in a refund, there's no need to be disrespectful. And this person started to be disrespectful on purpose, not just being angry, but intentionally being offensive. And that's just so completely unnecessary that I shouldn't have gone out of my way for this person, but I did anyways. Um, I gave them, a charger to go with it, even though the charger was the only charger and it wasn't listed, it wasn't part of the listing. I realized, oh, that's the only charger and it's supposed to go with that model, so I'll just give them the charger, even though it's also the other only charger that can go to my computer. So basically, I can't use my laptop until I get another charger, which means I have to get money for it. But anyways, yeah. So I gave them that, and then I gave them, some free tech support. Um, but I know that they'll never be able to appreciate anything that I went through. And at the end of it, they're like, "Oh, well, this has been too long of a process, so we'll just, I just want my money back. Refund me through PayPal." Like, they're using that, do what I say tone. Like, I can just pull the money out of nowhere and refund them immediately. Like, the more aggressive they get, the more likely I'll do it. Like, no, I'm being honest when I tell them. Like, this is what's, I'm being real. So I responded to them, like, I regret going out of my way for rudeness, and um, I don't have complete power over everything. I'm a human. Thank you for understanding. That's what I said, and I could have said more, but I didn't want to get too tied up in this. It's extremely stressful when someone's constantly pushing like that, especially when there's so much going on, and their attitude does not help. Their attitude fucks everything up because, I can take a little bit of it, but if you keep pushing, like, they could have been a lot worse, but they still were intentionally being disrespectful, and that itself is what pissed me off the most. Like, they knew what they were doing. They made up a little nickname based on our username, And they made up a little nickname based on that and kept saying it. And it was disrespectful. You wouldn't say that to somebody in real life. Um, if this was a Walmart or something, you wouldn't say, it's taken too long to ship, so I just want a refund. Like, the only reason you can do this is because eBay, you know, allows the sellers to have way too much power. And I mean, I understand why. Because, I mean, it allows the buyers to have too much power over the sellers. I understand why, because sellers can rip people off, but the buyers can be real dickheads because they know what they can get away with. And I've been in too many situations where I've had to, no matter how angry I felt, I had to put on, the nice or timid face because otherwise something really bad would happen. And this kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's not as intense, but it's still a situation in which I feel powerless. And that's the main reason I hate selling on eBay, because if you don't immediately ship an item, or if something happens to where you can't, like they can open a case and force a refund and just have it all, like that refund could be the difference between, paying your rent or not, and they can force it. The buyers don't have to give a shit about anything. They don't have to treat you like a human being. If this is a shop where they just walked in and started demanding stuff, like, you bought the item, we don't have to refund you. Like, it's too ridiculous to expect an item. I guess the rules with eBay are okay, it's just that the buyers freak out too frequently. I haven't had this happen too often, but I've had happen maybe like 4 times in the past, with both eBay and Etsy. And it was always during extremely busy times when I tried to explain to the person, I'm extremely busy, so like this, there's a delay, that's why. Um, but it will be shipped. But they wanted it now. They wanted it now. They want everything right now. They want you to freaking stop everything for them right now. And you have a bunch of customers like that at once. Like, everything has to happen right now. It's really hard to do stuff. You can't get anything done right now because you're constantly being interrupted. And I wish these people would understand that. And even if they don't understand that, just, if you're buying something online or talking to someone at a small business or even at a larger business, but, the workers are not the business themselves, they're working for. They don't have anything to do with stuff. Like, you know, there's no reason to get angry over minor things like this. The only, I mean, there's some exceptions, but generally, it shouldn't be considered normal to just flip out on somebody and start being disrespectful after they've explained to you, like, I'm sorry for the delay. There's this thing happening that's eating up a lot of time, but it will be shipped. And, we'll do this to make up for the time. Like, people shouldn't have to be at your beck and call just because you have money. And I really hate that money makes people feel free to, abuse other people. It's, there's a certain point where I can understand you being upset, but just going off on people or being intentionally disrespectful like this person was doing, um, like, I knew that he wasn't just getting upset, and you know how customers can get upset. Um, that's one thing, okay? It's not really acceptable, but it's more understandable than someone consistently being disrespectful intentionally, not because they're being emotional, but because they're intentionally trying to disrespect you. They're doing it on purpose. Like that, I have more self worth than to be treated like that, especially because I've been in situations, abusive situations that were much more intense than this, where I've had to, I've been at somebody's mercy, so I've had to, cap my instinct to, you know, put somebody in their place. And this reminded me so much of that. Even though it was like a drop in the ocean as far as intensity goes, but they still had leverage over me, like more leverage than they realized. And it may have only been, $30 or something to them, but to us it's like the difference between, something fucking up the whole line where everything else gets fucked up and then the whole business has to shut the fuck down. Like there's a lot of crisis to deal with there. That's a lot of stress and a lot of chaos all over this one issue that they could just calm the fuck down, read what I told them, understand, comprehend it, and if they really wanted a refund, ideally I would be able to refund them within a week or something. Not, eBay forces it like whatever day they want. Give me a few days to refund. Because I'm not a machine, I'm not a cash register, I can't just pull it out of, nowhere. But that's what people think when they have money. It's like they expect everything else to be handed to them.